What it do, people?
Yo, I got my phone next to the computer. I should probably move it to
Yeah,
Afghanistan.
You heard the little like zzz from it or no?
No, I just heard a doo-doo.
Oh, I heard the zzz from it, but I just moved my phone and it stopped.
Oh, really?
So yeah, this time, usually I have some topics for the podcast that I keep in the notes on my phone, but I printed it out on a sheet of paper just so that I could keep the phone far enough away where it won't fuck our shit up.
That's what Molly did. So she started like her own, like she's doing like she makes a couple of YouTube videos or whatever for pregnancy shit.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and she had me come on one of them and she had like printed out questions and I was like, you printed out questions?
Just so everybody knows, Corin has done zero prep for any of the podcasts.
Nah, never.
But for me, the only prep I do for the podcast is if I think of something during the week, I'll just put it in my notes.
That's what I've been doing too, though. Like recently, but I also have a bad memory. So like if it happens to me on like Wednesday or Tuesday after the show, I'm like, oh, maybe I'll talk about that shit next week. And then I'm like, I don't remember what the fuck I wanted to talk about.
That happens to me too, man. You have to, like, the second you think of it. Like, there were times where I was falling asleep and something came to me for the podcast, and I literally, like, rolled over, grabbed my phone, put it in my notes. Because if you don't put it in right away, you're gonna fuck it up.
You know what I do that for? When I would have like a job interview or something like that, and I like something I feel like I would want to talk about in the interview, I would always write it down just because I'm like, and I think of the shit when I'm in the shower. When I'm in the shower, I have the best ideas.
Yeah, that happens to me too. Sometimes in the shower, I'll think of something.
What do you think that is? Like, just you're feeling good, warm, wet, like
totally
warm.
At ease. You're not like you're letting the ideas come to you. You're not like chasing them down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I've heard a lot of people say that. A lot of comedians too, I think, say like that they think of their ideas in the shower.
Yeah, I believe that. So before we got this, we fired up the podcast. You mentioned the David Letterman Obama interview.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I always have a lot of different feelings when I see like Obama and stuff. Like the first thought is obviously, well, it's better. It would be better if he was in power compared to Trump. That's a given. So like I think like, damn, it wasn't that long ago that we had somebody who was not as shitty in office.
Human being.
Yeah. But then the other side of me is always like Letterman really was sucking him off.
Yeah, he was going ham.
He was like, "You're the only president I've like respected," or something. He said something like that, right at the end.
Yeah, his final thing, like that's sort of like, just outside of like, I mean, you know, obviously the politics shit a lot better than I do, and just like, obviously Obama has done bad shit and sent people off to war and killed whatever, you know, drone strikes and all that stuff. But like, just on some like human being, like looking at Dave Letterman when he said like two things back to back that like, why wasn't I in Selma when that march happened? And he was like,
Letterman said that?
Letterman said okay. Like because Obama said, you know, aren't you lucky to be in your position or something like that? And he was like, you know, I am, because you know, when who's the guy that walked across the bridge that they were talking about?
John Lewis they were talking to. Yeah,
John Lewis. He was like, so when John Lewis was walking across the bridge, I was driving down to Florida with my friends to get drunk in Bahamas or whatever.
Oh.
And he said, so I am lucky. And then I don't know where that point was going, but like it just was like a genuine moment where David Letterman was like, I really respect you just as a human being. And like politics aside, which is hard for people to do because obviously Obama was president. He just seems like a genuinely good, like, dad, like, human being. Doesn't seem like he's cheating on his wife or anything. Really loves his daughters. So for me, I was like, wow, Letterman really respects him on that level.
Yeah, you know, it's when you look at the intangible shit that doesn't like matter much ultimately, like how he is as a human being and how he talks and how he, you know,
just
interacts
like
with people.
Himself.
Yeah, like all that shit. Nobody can deny that he's an adult, like he's a mature person who, you know, you'd go, oh, it's better that guy's in charge than a guy like Trump by like a million miles. But I was a little annoyed at the like sucking him off because you're not going to get it from David Letterman because he was a talk show host. He was a, you know, nighttime talk show host. So it's like he's not going to do the grilling him on like, how about all those drone strikes that killed innocent people? Do you ever think of that? Or like, you know, stuff that would be real hard questions that I would actually be curious to ask Obama. Because
like
I don't
a
think
one-on-one interview.
I don't think Obama's a bad person, but I think he was like disconnected enough from a lot of the damage of many of the decisions he made, particularly on foreign policy, that he didn't connect the dots. Like he didn't really think like I'm responsible for this. You know what I mean? So those are questions I'd like to see asked, but you know they're not going to do that in that kind of an interview. But overall, I like interviews like that in general. Like I like hearing what these kinds of people have to say, and it was interesting seeing Dave Letterman after such a long time because he was one of my I liked him more than a lot of the late night hosts.
Yeah,
I think
he had more of that like I don't give a fuck attitude.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask it, you know, like
yeah, and he clashed oftentimes with a lot of like Bill O'Reilly. He had on and clashed with him, and Rush
really?
Limbaugh he had on and clashed with him. And actually with Trump, he did something that's like legendary. People should go watch this whenever they get the time. It's David Letterman had Trump on, and he got him to talk about it because you know how Trump always used to do the China's terrible, China.
yeah.
And so he got him to like go off on that kind of a riff, and then he was like, "Oh, by the way, I have your ties here. These are really nice. Like, this is a nice tie." Like, he was holding it up. He's like, "I like the color and everything." And he's like, "Hey, do me a favor. Hold this. Flip it over. What does it say on the back?" And Trump was like, "Made in China." And I was like, I like that because it's just he cornered him in such a masterful way. Like the way he walked Trump down that path. And Trump was just going right down that path. Like, yeah, China, they're killing us with the trade deals. China, sad. And you just
it's rare for like any celebrity or someone in power when they're on live TV or on one of those like talk shows to get cornered like that, you know, because usually they have publicists or whatever that's like, don't ask them about this, or they don't want to talk about this.
Or they're savvy enough to see the trap being laid from a mile away. But Trump couldn't because Trump's Trump.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's just like, you know, like a rabid animal that's in a cage. And he's like, isn't China like doing some bad stuff? He's like, yeah, China, sad. And he just went right down that path, which was hilarious. We should probably do the poll questions right up front. Because,
you said there's a good one. Oh, well, we had one from last week too, right? That I remember, the cube versus chopped ice.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so let's put that one out there right away because we already know that we're doing that one. And then I got a few more that I want to... And I was thinking of a way that I could, like, you know, already have them lined up in the old Twitter machine before I got out here so I don't have to, like, type it as we talk, but I don't know how to do that, so...
Yeah, I don't know how to do any of that shit
drafts or something, but I don't know if it could do it for a poll, or I haven't even tried. I'm not going to lie to anybody. I had... earlier today, I had this delicious veggie wrap. It was so fucking good. Do you like eggplant or no? You don't like fried eggplant? No?
It looks too much like chicken parm, and it gets me mad that's not chicken parm.
I had fried eggplant with peppers, olives, and then like some cheese or something was in there. It was fucking delicious.
Yeah, it sounds banging. But my mom used to get, like when we would order Italian food for dinner and they would deliver that shit, she would get like an eggplant parmesan, and I would always be hungry like the next day because she would only eat like half, and I would see it in the fridge and I'll be like, yes. There's half of a chicken parm in there, and she'd be like, "It's eggplant,"
and you'd be like,
"I'm like, what the
fuck?" That's pretty funny. Okay, so this one is going out right now, skis. Cubed ice versus crushed ice.
Yeah, that's a
good poll. That's a great poll. Simple, and I think I know what the results are going to be.
You think it's going to be crushed? Because I used to be crushed, but now I think I'm cubed.
No, that is gonna fucking. It's gonna cubed is gonna crush.
Oh, you think cubed is gonna win?
100%. 100%.
What's your reasoning?
Because who the fuck? Well, I don't know anybody. My dad, I think, was the only person in the world who loved crushed.
I mean, they wouldn't give you crushed on the refrigerator as an option if people didn't like it.
That's a decent point. Hold on, I actually am going to do this right on the screen here because my phone is acting up. I like how...
You know what I'm saying?
That's true. That is true. Because I remember one time, I'm going to sound so stupid, everybody listening here, but whatever. Let's roll with it. There was like this Camaro that Chevy made for a while that was like this like neon green Camaro.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that color is fucking hot. I love that color.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, damn, if other companies made cars in that color, I bet that shit would sell like crazy. And somebody was like, "Hey, idiot! If that was the case, they would have already been making them."
Yeah.
And I was like, "No," and they were like, "Yes, they would have made it if that shit sold a lot." And then I had to realize, I had realized, like, oh, that's right. They're only gonna make it if it like sells. So that goes to your point, like the crushed ice. It's in like every single refrigerator has that option if it's got the ice thing in there.
Mm-hmm. All the funky colors for cars are usually on a Camaro.
That's a good point. The Camaros do tend to have a lot of funky colors.
Right? Out of like all the, I mean, Mustangs, sometimes you see like maybe like a purple or something like that. But I feel like Camaros are the only ones where you see like a bright yellow, a bright green, like an aqua blue, or
and they have this stripe. A lot of the stripes are gone on almost every other kind of car, but for like Camaros, they threw them in there.
Yeah, I feel like Camaros are big on that. Chargers, not so much. Sometimes you could see a funky colored Charger.
What's the line between like super douchey and cool when it comes to a sports car? Because there is a line, you know what I mean? Like
for sure, there's a line.
Like if you get a Camaro and you get it in like a dark gray, like that might be hot. But if you get that bright green, people might be like, "You're a douche."
And a fucking loser.
Yeah.
I think there's certain colors that are okay. Like I think on what was the first car we mentioned? The
Camaro?
Camaro. Yeah, the Camaro. I think bright yellow is fine because that's almost on some like Transformer shit. So it sort of gives you the okay.
Yeah, sports cars, like a lot of sports cars come in yellow. So that's kind of a regular thing. True. It's almost like a red.
I just feel like that's such a bold color. I would never get a yellow.
It is pretty bold. I've seen some yellow shirts I like, though, even though yellow is a bold color. But I've seen some yellow shirts where I was like, I like that. That looks kind of good.
I would almost argue that wearing yellow is tougher to wear than pink.
I mean, I love rocking pink. I think pink is like a really nice color.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I'm not a fan of yellow anything. I think yellow would be my least favorite color. I just voted right now.
Damn, that's fucked up. Do I even have a least favorite color? I think I like them all. Like, I like wearing shirts of all different... Oh, that's not true. You know what color I don't like? Navy blue.
I'm a fan of navy blue. Why don't you like navy blue?
I'll tell you right now. It's having an identity crisis. It's always had an identity crisis. It doesn't know if it's like black or like dark gray, or if it's blue. Like, it's like flirting with both. It's like, I want to be black, but no, I don't. I also kind of want to be blue. And it's like sometimes you got to look at it for a while to figure out exactly what it is. Like, what?
Those shirts are the fucking worst. Even when you go to the store, when you have to look too close on a shirt, if you don't know if it's blue or black, and then you even ask the employees, like, hey, what color is this? And they're like, hold on. Sometimes you can look at the tag and it'll tell you. I'm like, just why isn't it just blue or black?
That's the exact point. That's the exact reason why I've always kind of not liked navy blue. And I know,
fuck navy
I think
blue.
most people like navy blue, though. So it's almost like fucked up because...
It depends, because I think there's different shades of navy blue. If it's navy blue enough where you could tell it's navy blue, I'm okay with it.
If it's like a navy blue that's comfortable in its navy blueness and it's obviously navy blue, I'm fine with that. It's okay. It's still not up there with me for colors, but it's okay. But when it's the one that's really borderline, then I don't like it. Okay, so wait, we gotta keep doing.
Was that just like a 1970s? That was like a 80s song, right?
That's
like,
Madonna, yeah. Borderline.
Yeah. You just keep me holding on. Oh, I can't hit any of the high notes.
Yeah, I can't either, but that's all right. Okay, so first poll's out, and by the way, I think Cubed is gonna win with 70%. I think 70-30.
I think we might have an upset on our hands tonight.
What?
Yeah, I think Crush might.
Damn, you think Crush is going to pull a Trump?
I think so. I think people will go with Crushed.
Okay, the next one. And this is a good one because we got to figure out exactly what we're going to put in the poll, but I'll tell you what I first put down, and then we could tweak it. Okay. So I wanted to do Milky Way versus Kit Kat versus Reese's versus Twix. That's what I wanted to do. Now, I'm anticipating that you're about to hit me with, nah, son, you got to throw Snickers in there. Or you're going to hit me with, nah, you got to put, I don't know, some other Three Musketeers or some shit.
Nah, fuck Three Musketeers. Snickers has to be in there.
Okay, but see, here's my reasoning why I left Snickers out, because we can only put 4 in there.
Mm-hmm.
And
what are we doing? Is it best chocolate bar?
Yeah, best chocolate bar, I guess. Just it's almost
then
like
Hershey's got to be in that bitch.
See, that's the thing I was afraid of, because so the reason why I said Milky Way versus Kit Kat versus Reese's versus Twix is, in my mind, those are like the 4 that are in the running in my mind for like the best. But I know
I would take Milky Way out. Milky Way's fuck Milky Way.
See, but I think that the majority are going to be with you on that, and they're going to say you have to get rid of Milky Way and put Snickers in there.
Yeah. Milky Way is like if you were to compare Mario and Luigi.
Right.
Mario
so Milky
is
Way
Snickers,
is Luigi.
Yeah, 100%.
And even though when I play fucking Mario Kart, I would pick Luigi over Mario, It's irrelevant because Mario is Mario.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, I'm swayed on that. We'll get rid of Milky Way. We'll put in Snickers. I think I'm going to stand firm on Kit Kat, Reese's, and Twix.
Kit Kat, Reese's, and Twix. Kit Kat, I'm okay with. Reese's, got to be in there. Twix is that alternative that's sort of swaying it for me a little bit.
So
banging.
You thinking you want to axe that for Hershey's?
What about M&M's? That sort of has to fall in the category of like some chocolate shit.
Okay, so let's keep it with best chocolate
bar,
but then Reese's isn't really a bar.
Yeah, that's true too.
But it still has to be on the list because it's Reese's.
I'm a big fan of Heath Bar. There's no way that shit's getting on the list.
I like
right?
100 Grand, but there's no way that's getting on the list. 100 Grand is banging. It's got the little like nugget things in there.
100 Bar is that is a good one.
100 Grand. Nobody eats it. Nobody has it.
No.
People are like 100 Grand. You know what you're talking about? I never had one of those. Meanwhile, I'm like that shit is banging.
Yeah, that is good. Those little crispy things. It's like a little Rice Krispie.
Yeah, my mom loves what the fuck's it called? It's got like raisins in it and it's chunky bar. It's a chunky bar. I don't think I've ever had that.
I never even heard of a chunky bar.
Never had that. My dad used to love Almond Joy.
Yeah, Almond Joy I've heard of.
He liked Good and Plenty too, which I was like, damn, you're the only person that likes Good and Plenty in the world.
Don't like Good and Plenty.
It was like licorice-y fucking... Ugh. It's like a Mike and Ike licorice-y taste. It was... It's like an old person candy. It's like, that's the candy
I'm a big fan of
old guy to like.
Yeah, Almond Joys were like... That was the purple box.
Almond Joys are pretty good. The Good and Plenty is like the old guy fucking candy.
Good and Plenty was in the purple box. Almond Joy was in the blue shit, right?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. I like Peanut Chews, but I think it's only an East Coast thing because they don't have it in the Midwest.
Those are pretty good. Peanut Chews are pretty good.
I'm a huge fan of Peanut Chews. All right, so I think...
I love Mike and Ike's. I think they're delicious. But we're talking about, obviously, chocolate here.
I think...
So Snickers, Kit Kat, Reese's, Twix. I'm comfy with that.
Yeah, that's fine. I just feel like we're I mean, there's Hershey, Pennsylvania, and Hershey Park, like Hershey bars.
Hershey's is a big one. But so here's my reasoning why it's getting left behind here. Because it's so plain. Like, it's just a chocolate bar.
Yeah, that's true. It's just chocolate.
Got a zillion things in there.
True. Yeah, leave Twix. Twix gives it a little...
Okay, now what's your favorite on that? I'll tell you mine in a second.
Twix, Kit Kat, Snickers, Reese's. I'm going to have to go... I'm going to go Snickers, Twix, Kit Kat, Reese's. I'm not a fan of the peanut butter, really.
Son.
And I'm choosing Snickers because it's always there. Like it's just a good default to always have. I'm sometimes not in the mood for Twix, and Snickers I can always have a Snickers.
I'll tell you mine in a second, and then I'll tell you what I think the audience is gonna say.
I feel like you're gonna put. There's so many candy bars. There's so many fucking candies out there.
I know.
Even with Hershey's,
I don't need enough candy. In the middle of this conversation, I realized I don't need enough candy. You only live once. I don't need enough candy.
I eat probably too much candy. I'm happy I never really gotten too many cavities. Although my tooth was hurting the other day when I was eating.
I think I had one cavity in my life or two.
Really?
But I've always been more of a fried food guy than a baked good guy or candy guy.
Like a sweets.
Like I could eat fried chicken and fries all day, but if I have like one slice of cake, I get full off of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
but you like pies. You like apple pies.
Yeah, pie's good, but like it'll fill me up. Like I'll eat one piece and I'm like, I'm good. But if I eat like some McDonald's shit or some Burger King shit, I can just keep eating it. Like I don't get full. I just keep going. Okay, so for me, we're polar opposite on this question, I think. Because I would go Reese's number 1. Twix, Kit Kat, Snickers.
Damn, that's like my whole shit flipped up.
Yeah, Snickers to me, I don't know why, but I always liked Milky Way more than Snickers. I don't know why. I mean, I get obviously the answer is the nuts in Snickers, but I don't dislike Snickers. I just always, when I was a kid, it was like Twix was my shit when I was a kid.
Yeah, Twix were good.
But I almost broke the Twix meter in my head, and like Reese's rose to the top, and it was just like, nah, I'm your go-to now.
Was it because of the peanut butter? I'm not like a huge...
I like peanut butter, and it just tastes with the peanut butter and the chocolate specifically.
It does go well together.
Reese's, yeah, it's just like you eat it, you're like, God damn, this is just delicious. So, but
it's weird how peanut butter really just like has a whole like its own fan base. Like people like jelly, but it's not like...
And it kills other people, literally. You could have a peanut allergy, and that shit'll kill you.
That's true.
Yeah, which is crazy. That's like giving them anthrax. Giving somebody anthrax if they have a peanut allergy. And the audience, by the way, I think they're going to go Snickers number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Then I think they're going to go
Kit Kat?
Reese's.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Then Kit Kat, then Twix.
I like that. Yeah,
that's what I think they're going to. They're definitely going to go Snickers because Snickers is the Michael Jordan of candy. Like, everybody goes Snickers. You know what I mean?
But they didn't put McDonald's when we had that shit first, and that's like the Jordan of fast food. They had McDonald's pretty low.
That's a good point, but you know what? I'm not so sure McDonald's is the Jordan of fast food. It's just in the most places. It's like, you know what it is? McDonald's is the Chauncey Billups because Chauncey Billups
played for every team.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Whereas Wendy's is like the silent killer. Wendy's is like LeBron, or Wendy's is like Michael.
Just dunking on everybody.
Yeah, just fucking everybody up.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And Wendy's crushed in that poll, right? I think Wendy's crushed in that poll.
Yeah, I think Wendy's did do okay in that poll.
They got a majority when there were 4 choices, which is crazy.
That is true.
Okay, I still got more polls. No, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say Burger King is just like the old NBA player that's just like
Old Faithful though, like somebody who's
Old Faithful.
Yeah, like Jared Jack. Like you call Jared Jack over and he's like a good point guard and he's gonna play well even though he's old. Or who was the point guard who was on Denver and then on Orlando for a hot minute? Jameer Nelson. Yeah. He's just Old Faithful. He's just always there.
Jameer Nelson's still in the league somewhere.
He's got to be somewhere. Yeah.
He might be like back with Denver or some shit.
Yeah. How are they doing this year? They're probably not. They're probably under 500 in the West.
I think they're mediocre. Like they could come in and beat a really good. Like they could beat Golden State one night, but then lose to like a 5th grade AAU team.
Yeah, the Knicks are like that, but they're 20-24 now, so sad. That's sad. Okay, the next poll. Oh, this is a good one, man. I think I just want to do straight up NSYNC versus Backstreet Boys. That, we have to have the conversation though, because I mean, you can theoretically throw New Kids on the Block in that poll. You can throw LFO.
98 Degrees.
98 Degrees, that's right. BB Mac. Like, there's a bunch of...
There's a lot
BB Mac would get rocked. So would LFO. They'd get rocked.
You can almost throw... Could you throw Boys to Men on that list? Or is that a different category?
I'd say no, because Boys to Men is 100% R&B, whereas NSYNC and Backstreet Boys are pop.
True. Okay.
But there is, like, B2K is poppy enough where they could go on that list.
Yeah. Did you say LFO?
I said LFO, but they had 2 hits, and that's it, and they would get rocked on that poll. There's no way that Summer Girls...
Yeah, they wouldn't hold their own.
Yeah, they would get destroyed. BB Mac would get destroyed. 98 Degrees would get destroyed, but they still kind of belong on that list, though.
Yeah, they would get destroyed by NSYNC and Backstreet Boys.
They're the White Castle of this poll.
Yeah.
90 Degrees is the White Castle of this poll.
Yeah.
because they're just not as good. Like, they're not as good.
I mean, if you put their resume up towards some of, Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, it could hold a candle to that shit.
They had a solid 4 hits. And
Nick Lachey was with Jessica Simpson, so you got that with the Timberlake sort of like spin-off shit.
Yeah, but they, when 98 Degrees came around, they were so goddamn cookie cutter that it was like, it's almost like they were the parody of the boy band. You know what I mean? Like, because Nick Lachey looks exactly like a boy band dude should look. Yeah. He's got muscles, and then you got the two background guys who were super irrelevant.
Yeah,
like they were just so irrelevant.
One of them was his brother, right? Wasn't it Drew Lachey?
That's right, actually. One of them was his brother. The other one was like, he had like blonde hair.
Yeah.
Sorry, everybody, if you hear the beeping. There's beeping in the background.
Well, for what?
You hear the horn?
No.
Oh, it just stopped. Okay.
Oh.
It was like car alarm type shit.
Oh, that's fucking annoying.
Yeah, happens.
Yeah, looking back on those boy bands and just like looking at them now, you're just like, wow, those dudes were just like embarrassing.
Yeah, there's
like, how did girls look up to them and like really idolize those guys?
BuzzFeed had a thing specifically about this, about how like ridiculous it was.
Mm-hmm.
If you go back and watch Quit Playing Games With My Heart, the Backstreet Boys song, the music video, it is the most ridiculous fucking... So it's like all of them are like trying so hard to be sexy through the whole shit with their faces, like doing like the singing where they're like...
Yeah.
They got the faces on, and then at the end of it, it's raining, and they're dancing in the rain, and they're taking their shirts off.
I think I remember
and
that.
And it's
video.
in like slow motion, and they're singing, and it's like, and it just looks like they're trying so hard to be sexy and like sell this sex vision to like the 13-year-old girls who were listening.
Oh, but it's such a strange concept. Like, we preach this whole like pedophilia shit, but meanwhile, it's okay for like these boy bands guys who are overage to be attracted to by these like young girls.
Yeah, like that's the market, is like you want 10-year-old girls to listen to this, and these guys are dancing like half naked in the rain in slow motion. Yeah, it's almost like you're trying to fucking... But you know what? It's funny that we mentioned that, because the guy who created those boy bands, he went to jail. He was a pedophile. He got caught on like money laundering shit or something, or some financial crime. But he was a fat guy. His name was Lou Pearlman, I think. Yeah, Lou Pearlman.
Damn, a Jew.
He created them. He created them, and
he created these bands in a computer. And
there's like literal rumors about how like he did some shit to like Lance Bass.
Oh my god.
Yeah, like he would call them up to his room and tell them to take their shirts off and shit. Yeah.
Dude,
like
these people in power are all fucked up, man, because it's like, to get to that powerful place, you got to be locked in a dungeon, like master planning your idea.
Well, I was going to say, think about it. So you have these young boys in these boy bands who became super famous. Mm-hmm. Somebody had to have the organization to set all that up and to make it happen, right? And who would set that up other than a guy who's massively sexually attracted to these young boys? Like, he wanted to congregate them in let me have a bunch of young, attractive boys around me. How do you do that? I don't know. I'm going to make boy bands that have little boys. And then you have rooms full of fucking 20 of them. You make the bands. You set their schedule. You make the phone
think about
calls.
all the kids that didn't make NSYNC, that like were trying out for that shit in front of Lou Pearl. This fat fucking bozo.
Exactly.
Like, we see NSYNC, and if they were getting like molested or whatever, like touched, think about all the kids that like tried out, and he was like, yeah, come back next week. You did okay, but you got to do a little bit more for me, buddy.
That shit really happened, man. And it's the same thing. Like with Hollywood, the whole like Harvey Weinstein shit was like, who was he letting in the films? He was letting in the films the girls who, like, we only heard about the ones who didn't like what happened, but there are probably triple the number that were just like, yeah, I suck his dick and then he gets me a fucking part.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it works.
Yeah, man. Whoa.
It's a crazy thought that like the whole fucking system is built on like crazy fucking assholes who have problems who like have to find a way to find an outlet for their fucked up issues. Like, and think about what happened. Look at how fucking famous Justin Timberlake is now.
Yeah.
Like, and it started, well, it was, for him it was Disney, and then I think it was NSYNC. Or was it NSYNC and then Disney? It was Disney, then NSYNC. Mm-hmm. But like, he was on like, so was Britney Spears. He was on like, they were on Disney when they were younger, and then he, after that, tried out for NSYNC, and they had the group, and that guy also created LFO. He created all these fucking boy bands because he just loved molesting kids.
That's fucking crazy.
But having said that, goddamn, did they make some good ass music?
Yeah, they did. I mean, like, out of the worst situations, sometimes come the best, things.
You can't get diamond without pressure. You can't get a diamond without pressure, or something like that.
Yeah, it sounds right. I'm about to throw another band in that shit that might actually make this list.
Hit me with it.
New Kids on the Block, son.
Yeah, I mentioned them. I said...
Oh, did you? My bad.
And here's the thing about New Kids on the Block. Like, in my mind, they're okay, but like, whatever. But they were the Godfathers. They were number one with boy bands.
Yeah, I think they were a little before our time. That's why we don't appreciate them for what they are.
Exactly right.
But they were the goats of the shit.
They were they were literally the first one. It was Joey McIntyre. Donnie
Wahlberg.
Yeah, was Jordan something? Wasn't there Jordan something?
Oh, yeah, Jordan McIntyre?
No, Joey McIntyre and Jordan Knight. Jordan Knight.
Jordan Knight, yeah. I think we have to put them in the list, but then that fucks up it all, because then... You could have a New Kids on the Block, NSYNC, or Backstreet Boys, because, like, if you respect old school boy bands, you would vote for New Kids on the Block. But I think our audience is too old. They don't know those motherfuckers, but... Our audience is our age and younger. Yeah, you'd get some votes for New Kids on the Block because I think they've made a resurgence now, and people sort of vaguely know of them. So in your mind, if it's just NSYNC or Backstreet Boys, who's better? That's a hard question. I think I was more of a Backstreet Boys person. When I was That's younger, what I would vote for. I was definitely more of a Backstreet Boys fan. Yeah. Because Backstreet Boys came first, and they had that CD Millennium with the blue on it that was like spiraled. Yep. And then I think NSYNC came out with their No Strings Attached joint, and it was red, like a maroon colored, and was spiraled. Well, that's what they said, is that the gigs that Backstreet Boys turned down are the ones that NSYNC was like, we'll do it. So like Backstreet Boys came first of that batch of boy bands, and then they blew up, and then NSYNC came around, and so they were like, they were lower, and then they got famous, I think, overseas first, and then eventually they caught on here. But I think I agree with you. When I was a kid, it was definitely Backstreet Boys over NSYNC. Then as I get older, I think I lean more NSYNC. But if you go back and listen to all their shit now, NSYNC is very, very pop-ish. Yeah. Like, their music is super pop. Whereas Backstreet Boys, it's pop, but there were even some songs where you were like, nah, this is leaning on R&B here. Yes. Yeah. That's why I think I like Backstreet Boys more. Because like even when like Bye 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 came out, like, and everybody loved that shit, I was like, yeah, I like it, I guess, because everybody else likes it, but it was like too poppy. Yeah, that's right. Whereas Backstreet Boys, would make songs that were like, you would like sing along to and really get into it and like spill your soul into it, and that's what made it like some R&B shit. And when if we were to go to karaoke, we would go Backstreet Boys over NSYNC. Yeah. And there was that other one that you always, what was it? Tell me why. No. It wasn't Backstreet Boys or NSYNC. It was some band that made like one song. O-Town. No, it wasn't O-Town. Yes, All or Nothing. That was a good one. No, but it was an R&B song, like a love song that like I can't think of it. Was it the I Swear? Yes, yeah. All for One, like, I think. All for One, yeah, exactly. Because when I first heard that, I was like, oh, this is Boys to Men, and then somebody was like, no, that's not. I was like, that's Boys to Men. They were like, no, it's not. Yeah, it's a band called All for One. They had like that song and like maybe one other. We used to have no shame. We would like pour our hearts into that song at the karaoke after trivia. You know, karaoke. So it was an interesting situation when we did karaoke, because there were some songs that we would pick where the karaoke version of it
would be the person who sings it still singing it and you singing along with the person.
Yeah.
And those were good because then we'd walk away going, damn, we kind of killed that one. But then sometimes they hit you with a song where there's no, like, it's just you singing it.
Yeah, they left you on an island.
And then when it's just you singing it, it's like, oh my God, we're terrible.
Yeah, and people are like, yo.
Yeah, like, stop. Just give it up. Stop. Yeah, but karaoke was fun, man. Trivia was fun, too.
Yeah, both were awesome. But karaoke is a rare thing that you could really get, like, just so, like, people out of their shell, like, really, like, where else can you go into a bar and just scream at the top of your lungs, singing along to a song, and people are okay with it? Have a few drinks,
loosen up, and then if you have somebody singing with you, you'll just start singing.
Yeah, karaoke's genius.
I enjoy that more than like dancing. Like I've only danced a few times, but I enjoyed karaoke more.
Yeah, dancing is cool. I mean, if you have rhythm and are good at it. Like when I see my brother, like just like because when we go to DR or whatever, like dancing is just the theme. Like you can just like pick anybody up and dance with them, and that's just like the culture, you know. And like watching two people who really know how to dance, is like fuck, man. I would love to be doing that right now.
Yeah, it is. Seeing somebody with rhythm is like, damn, I wish I could do that.
Yeah,
for sure. It's a weird thing. Like if you're like sometimes I've looked at dancing when I didn't have anything to drink and I'm watching people dancing and I'm like, that just looks strange. But then I get a few drinks in me and I'm like, oh, that looks awesome.
Yeah, I mean, there's good dancing and bad dancing. I mean, like when there's just two like sorority and fraternity kids going at it, like just banging their bodies against each other, that's probably gonna look weird, drunk or sober.
The few times I've actually danced in my life, I was high on Adderall, and
so it's probably bad dancing.
Well, that I thought that shit was hot because I was high as fuck, but it was good though because it's like with that kind of a drug, it was like a massive upper. So you're just like ready to start talking to people, going places, and like do some shit like dancing. And like you really fucking feel the music a lot more. Like if you play the music for me and I don't have it, I'll just be like, yeah, that's music. And like if I'm in the mood for it, cool, I'll listen or whatever. But when I had Adderall in me, I was like, damn, it sounds so good.
Yeah, that must have been a good feeling.
Great. And yeah, that's why people say that shit's a lot like cocaine. Because that's what cocaine does to you. It's like all that same shit. You talk a lot. You want to go places and do shit. You know, Joe Rogan says every time he's around people who've done cocaine, they start planning businesses for the future. Because they're just like, you feel like you're like, yeah, I'm the king of the world. And then you just start planning shit.
Yeah, I'm sure you have just, your mind is just racing everywhere where you want to just fucking think of everything.
So for this poll, do we have to throw in New Kids on the Block?
I think out of respect, yeah, we do.
Okay.
I think they got to be on there. They might get smacked. But I think they got to be on the list just to show them love.
Here's my theory. My theory is that New Kids on the Block takes votes from Backstreet Boys. That's my theory. Because New Kids on the Block came first, then Backstreet Boys, then NSYNC, and
yeah, it would definitely take away some votes from the people who would be voting for Backstreet. For New Kids, would be voting for Backstreet Boys.
My other hot take is that if we did Backstreet Boys versus NSYNC, I think NSYNC would win with 58%.
And do you think NSYNC would win if New Kids was on the poll?
Yeah, I think with New Kids on the poll, it's going to be...
They'd win even more convincingly?
They're going to win, and then it's going to be split between Backstreet Boys and New Kids on the Block. New Kids on the Block is going to come in third, Backstreet Boys second, NSYNC with a pretty sizable victory.
You think NSYNC's like that, huh? You think people really...
I do, because they hit bigger than the other ones.
Yeah,
when they finally hit, they hit.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, you're right.
Whereas
I think
Backstreet
NSYNC
Boys
will win.
Was consistently good, but I mean, I guess when they had I Want It That Way, that shit blew up. That was number one for like probably over a year.
Yeah, it's almost like Britney Spears versus Christina Aguilera. Like Britney Spears would be the NSYNC, I would guess, and Christina would be Backstreet Boys, because it's like Britney is like the marketing fucking icon. Like she's the one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Christina was like that other one that they threw in to just be like, hey, here's...
That's a poll for next week. Britney Spears versus Christina Aguilera. Okay, so we have to throw in New Kids on the Block out of respect, even though I don't like it.
I think NSYNC's going to win either way if we put them on or without. I think we got to put New Kids on and still just see that NSYNC would win the shit.
Okay, New Kids on the Block. Backstreet Boys.
But LFO did have some bangers, but they're not list worthy. But like
they had two bangers. They had Summer Girls, and then my personal favorite, and this was kind of a hit, Girl on TV.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Think I fell for the girl on TV.
Yeah.
I
Didn't they say like
wish for you on a falling star.
Wondering where you are.
Yeah. That guy died, the lead singer. Did you know that?
I think I knew that. Yeah, I think I heard that.
And he was on Howard Stern before he died. And
did he die of some crazy shit?
He died of some crazy disease. I think he had.
Really?
Did he have cancer? He might have had cancer, but he died really young. And he was talking about dating Jennifer Love Hewitt because he dated Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Oh, really?
That's who that song was about.
Oh, wow. I watched this show on TLC yesterday called "My Leg Won't Stop Growing."
What the fuck?
It was. I mean, like, I almost felt bad. Like they had like some disease or some shit.
And that was really the case. One leg wouldn't stop growing.
Well, it was different situations. Like one lady was crazy obese, and her legs were just humongous, and like she had like tumors on them and all this stuff. And she was still walking around, but like when she went to the doctors, they were saying like this one tumor, like it was just by her ankle, was like 20 pounds alone.
Oh my god.
Yeah, her leg was crazy. Then there was another girl who from the waist up was like normal looking, but her waist down, it was like everything was like just like big, and like it was, she wore like a size 17 foot on one and size 18 foot on the other.
Oh my god.
And then there was one girl who was a teenager, and one leg was normal and the other was just diesel.
Like muscular diesel?
No, like
just big.
Like big.
It's
like
got to be some sort
big.
of genetic defect, no? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I don't know what it. I mean, they were explaining it on the show, but I wasn't like paying attention.
You were
I was
just
more
looking
just
at
like
it.
just looking at it.
Like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, but it was like it almost made me feel sad because it's like if someone looks at that person just in the mall or whatever, like automatically they're gonna be like, "Oh, that person's weird" or whatever. But like that person had no control over that shit.
Yeah, man, it's sad. That is sad. And we take our health for granted too. Like,
yeah,
it is conceivable that something happens, and in 2 years, like one of us is in a wheelchair full time, and it's like, goddamn, when I had legs, I didn't think about the fact that I have legs that are working just fine.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
It could be cruel, man. World can be really fucked up.
I got a little like, it's not like a mole, but it's like a little scar or something on my stomach.
Mm-hmm.
And it was sort of like itching a little bit, so I went to the dermatologist today. Motherfucker got me tight. Like he was like, all right, lay down on the bed, let me see it. Asked me like some basic questions, like, oh, does it itch? I was like, a little bit, not too bad anymore. Like, has it gotten bigger? He's like, all right, let's take a look at it. Like, puts the thing on, and he's like, all right, here's the news. I can't really tell you what it is. I was like, okay. He was like, so you can either just keep monitoring it, or we can like take a biopsy and see if it's like some crazy shit.
What'd you say?
I did the biopsy thing, so like they gotta like let me know what it is in a couple weeks.
That was a good move. Smart.
Yeah, but like
smart.
Well, like he was just like, I can't tell you what it is. I was like, okay, so you just basically told me what I fucking know already.
He didn't, but he didn't even give you like 3 or 4 choices.
No, like not
maybe
even
it's
it could
this,
be
maybe
this.
it's this,
Yeah.
maybe it's this. Well, I think just from my ear, and I don't know dick, but the fact that it was a little itchy is a good sign because that didn't hurt.
Yeah, no, it doesn't hurt.
What I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I noticed it, and it was itching a little bit, and it like, I don't know. People say like with skin cancer or whatever, like to get that shit checked out early, even if you don't think it's some shit.
Always like, don't go out in the sun and like have your whole shit exposed. Like tanning is a terrible idea. Yeah,
I know.
But as we get older, you gotta just you gotta not do that. And
but you gotta fucking like trust the doctors too. Like now I've been watching the news, and you see the gymnast doctor.
Oh yeah. Remember we spoke about that last week about how my doctor when I was a kid.
Molly was saying that thing is like, you don't know when you're a kid what the fuck is supposed to be going on.
Exactly. And that's what that doctor was doing. He was fucking taking advantage. But, like, again, this goes back to the conversation about NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys. The guy built an empire because he loved little fucking boys.
Yeah.
But that's the same kind of shit. Like, not saying everybody who's a doctor for kids is like that. But if you are somebody who is like that, what kind of work are you going to get into? You're going to get into the kind of work where you have that kind of access.
It's 100% right, man.
Yeah, I saw all the headlines. It was like every day there was a new person who was famous.
Dude, they said it was like 140 girls or 180 girls or something like that.
And I didn't read the details, but what did he do? He would just touch them inappropriately?
Yeah, he'd like put his fingers in their like vagina or do like some like weird grabbing of their breast, like something like when, and like one of the girls that was testifying was saying like he would say this weird like diagnostic or whatever, so my mom would believe that like he's, you know, really trying to figure something out. But like he was just getting his.
God damn.
But then again, like if you're a kid and you go into the doctor and he's like, all right, pull your pants down.
You don't know.
You don't know.
In fact, the only reason why I think my doctor may have been like that is because he was creepy. He was like old man who didn't communicate well.
Mm-hmm.
So like he would do the fucking ball thing and dick thing, and I'd be like, this is weird. But if he was doing it and he was hitting me with fucking medical jargon when I'm a kid, I'd be like, oh, this is perfectly legitimate.
Yeah.
If he was like, well, what we're going to do here is we're going to check the blah, 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 I'd be like, yeah, okay, that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
But it's only because that doctor was kind of creepy that I was like, hey, maybe I was fucking like touched inappropriately.
Yeah. It's weird. You don't know.
Yeah. Well, did your doctor do that too? I think we spoke about this last week, but did your doctor do that shit?
He would cut my balls and like tell me to cough or whatever like that. But like that's just what I've known as a thing. Maybe I had maybe that's just like a every doctor worldwide is a pedophile, and that's like how they get there.
like the Catholic Church, how they were fucking like doing it in a systemic way.
It's like, don't tell them that actually does nothing.
Did you see the episode of South Park where they were like, they got together in a room and it was all like the Catholic Church people? And there was one priest who was like not a pedophile, from the one from South Park. Everybody else was. And they were like, this is outrageous. We need to try to do something. And they're like, yeah, we do need to try to do something to stop all this abuse. And the Catholic Church guys were like, we mean to not get caught.
Yeah, dude, it's like some secret society shit that like they teach you in doctor school. It's just like, all right, physical. Tell them that you're going to grab their balls and cough, and that shit has no connection to whatever we tell them it does.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely remember, the ball cupping, but I feel like there might have been some fucking shaftage situation going on, too.
Nah, I don't think they ever did anything with the shaft.
Damn.
Yeah, you definitely got me too, son.
Oh, I did, man. I did. I could see that.
This dude was fucked up, man. Like, all these girls were saying this shit, and it's like, he did that shit at Michigan State. He did that shit for the U.S. gymnastics team. Like,
creepy bastard.
He was fucking creep, that dude.
So I actually wanted to. Did you read the Aziz Ansari article or no?
I did, yeah. I sort of like.
Okay, I did too. What's your take on it? Mine is not politically correct. My take.
Yeah, I mean, it's just nonverbal. Like, is so tough to tell. Like, I mean, if she was that uncomfortable, why couldn't she say just no or something like that?
You're getting exactly to my take on it.
I just like, and I heard someone talking about this, and it's like disagreeing with her isn't fucked up, because you need to put the questions on the table to like sort of get answers to what is okay and what's not okay, you know?
Yeah. So I read it, and I have a few thoughts on it. The first thought is, if you want to make the case he shouldn't be so aggressive, I agree. He was, according to the article, and it's her take, obviously, he was like super aggressive. So
he was like putting his fingers in her mouth or something like that.
Yeah, weird shit. So if you want to say that's like, he shouldn't do that and he shouldn't be that aggressive, I agree. You should be clear about like what you're doing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The part of my take that's not politically correct is it wasn't sexual assault. Like, it just wasn't. And when you try to lump it in like it is, then what you're doing is you're delegitimizing all the situations where it is sexual assault. And Yeah, like you said, at no point did she say no. She was like, oh, I did some nonverbal cues and he didn't pick up on them. So that's when you say no.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And people are going to say, like, oh, I'm blaming, Kyle's blaming the victim. I read the article. She went down on him 3-4 times.
Mm-hmm.
That was in the article. Like, so you don't, and afterwards it's like, okay, she had an uncomfortable sexual experience. And that sucks. I feel horrible for her. But that happens where people have uncomfortable sexual experiences.
Yeah.
To then try to lump it in with people like fucking Harvey Weinstein, who was straight up assaulting women and dragging them into his fucking bedroom when they said no.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucked up to do that. And then so now all their dirty laundry is out there in public, and like she was speaking about an uncomfortable sexual situation she had. Now he looks like a douchebag because he was super aggressive. It's like, if it's not sexual assault, don't act like it is.
Yeah.
And now and listen, it's not just me saying this. Ashley Banfield on CNN did the exact same kind of thing on it, where she was like, don't do that. Like, don't fucking try to lump it in when it's not that. And now you're dragging down this movement, the Me Too movement. And the shit that she got for it was crazy. Like, people were shitting on Ashley Banfield for saying that. They're like, how dare you? Like, in other words, you're not allowed, like, there's the argument from many people is like, no, you're not allowed to be nuanced. Like, you're not allowed to say that this
That's what I'm saying. Like, you can't even question it, which is like, how do you advance the conversation if you can't question what, you don't understand?
Well, that's the thing. And Liam Neeson got a bunch of shit because he said that the Me Too movement is becoming, quote, a bit of a witch hunt, he said. And then people were shitting on him. And then they go and prove his fucking point with this Aziz Ansari thing. You know what I mean? Like, and this is the same thing. Matt Damon got a lot of shit because Matt Damon
I didn't think what he said was that bad.
What he said was totally true. He was like, listen, all sexual assault, all this stuff is super fucked up. We have to admit that there's a difference, though, between somebody raping people and somebody grabbing somebody's ass in 1986. Mm-hmm. And people were like, how dare you say that? You're so tone deaf. You're so out of touch. It's like, no, that's not out of touch at all. You're out of touch, and in your super deep, ultra left-wing authoritarian bubble, if you hear something like that and you get outraged. And they don't realize the damage that they're doing, man, because, again, this is the same kind of... This is like, remember during the election when I said, when Hillary and her campaign and her voters started calling Bernie Sanders guys Bernie bros. They were like, oh, they're sexist. They're Bernie bros, they were calling them. They were making the case that people who supported Bernie Sanders, who's the most liberal senator of our lifetimes, and calls himself a feminist, and across the board is for all women's issues on the right side of him. When you call dudes like that sexist, you just totally delegitimized it when there's an actual sexist. Because now everybody's going to roll their eyes and go, here we go again. Sure, I'm sure that this guy's sexist in the same way the Bernie bros are sexist.
Yeah.
And this is the same kind of shit. Like, oh, I was a victim. Oh, really? What happened? Well, I had like an uncomfortable sexual experience and the guy was too aggressive. Okay, did you say no at any point during the experience? No. Well, then what are you doing?
Yeah. And there's no room for what it seems like the Aziz thing, like discussion on it or room for apology or like questioning what happened, because I think she texted him or he texted her and was like, I had a fun night or something. She was like, well, I didn't. And then like he might have, I think he tried to advance the conversation.
He apologized.
And then it's just like, I mean, you can't apologize for something that you don't know what, like, it's like, there's no forgiving anybody for what they've done, like there's not like, it's just, 100%. It's always just like the most extreme cases. Like even with the Mark Wahlberg thing, it's like, well, he should donate the whole $1.5 million. And then like, well, it's always the most extreme shit. Like James Franco, they wanted him to donate all of the money he made from the disaster artist to like the Time's Up fund or whatever. But it's just like, why do you like why does he have to donate the whole salary of his movie to, like, he could still be against the Time's Up and donate on his own, but like it's just like they want to tear somebody down. I mean, I don't know.
So to me, like one of the things I've taken away from all this is whenever people use the term now sexual misconduct, that should always make you pause for a second. Because what that means is there's not enough here to actually say it's sexual assault or sexual harassment, which are like illegal.
Yeah.
So we're just going to say sexual misconduct to dodge actually charging them with something. So whenever they say sexual misconduct, you have to go through whatever the charges are with a fine-tooth comb to find out what's going on here. And listen, you could say he was an asshole and he was too aggressive. Sure.
You could just say you had like a disastrous date. Like it was a really awkward, bad date, which is like back when my dad used to watch like Love Connection back in the day with Chuck Woolery.
Oh, that guy's an asshole now.
Is he?
Yeah, big time right winger. Asshole right winger.
He seemed like an asshole when he did his shows. Yeah. But like they would have these women on and they would just talk about like horrendous dates they went on. And that's just like how dating was in the 90s or whatever. But now it's like they had a bad, awkward date. Like, shit was weird. Like, Aziz might have been weird and was doing weird shit.
Yeah.
But, like, just chalk it up as a bad date. Like people are going to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. I mean, I'll go a step further. Again,
but they're obviously sexual assault.
If she wants to say he was way too aggressive in bed and he's a massive asshole, I'm totally with you. Mm-hmm. But the reason why it was labeled in the article as sexual misconduct is because they know it's not sexual assault. And they know it's not a crime. They know that he was just kind of like a douchey guy who's too aggressive. But they know that there's nothing there to actually say this is like fucking Harvey Weinstein or somebody like that.
Yeah.
So that's why they had to couch it in that language. For legal reasons. Because if she accused him of sexual assault, for example, he could sue and probably win. Because there's, even according to her story, at no point did she say no. And it's not, again, guys, it's not just me saying this. Women told me this. That, like, look, I'm not trying to blame the victim by any stretch of the imagination. She should have walked out, though. She should have said no and walked out. Problem solved. You know what I mean? And that's not saying that's not absolving him for being too aggressive. We could still say he was too aggressive, and he shouldn't have done that. Totally true. But it's dangerous when you start lumping all of this shit in, man.
Yeah, I agree. And he's a little fucking dweeby guy. I mean, you could probably just punch him in the face.
There is one point, though, that I think is really interesting and accurate, which is you do see so many of those people wearing the fucking Me Too pins at the Golden Globes or Oscars or whatever the fuck it was. You know damn well that all of them at least have really awkward sexual encounters in their past. If not,
oh hell yeah, especially
if not
in
sexual harassment. No, I'm not saying assault, but like sexual harassment. Like all the dudes wearing the pins. It's like, come on, son.
All of those motherfuckers.
Yeah, definitely most of them. Like, come on.
And that's what I got mad respect for. Did you see Seal's video?
No.
Well, he like made a video like getting at Oprah, saying like, you know, that she was taking pictures with Harvey Weinstein and like knew what that whole culture was about. Maybe I don't know if she directly knew what Harvey Weinstein was doing, but like she was a part of that culture. And like you're not that powerful and that big in Hollywood if you don't know what's going on, you know? So he made like a video like sort of saying like, you know, Oprah is a part of this culture too type of shit. And people were getting on him. And then he came out with a second video that was like dope where he was like, Don't get it twisted. This like R&B singer is gangster. Like I am like my parents are from Africa and shit. But like all those people in Hollywood wearing those pins knew what the fuck was going on, and now it's just like the new wave of like, hey, let's get on board and like stop this stuff. Where it's just like, why not say that shit when it was happening?
Yeah. You know, I don't think people knew, or I don't think most people knew the specifics of what Harvey Weinstein was doing. I don't think that. But I think that
that's hard to believe. I
think they knew the rumors, and I think that you're right about the general culture, that they know the culture in Hollywood because they're in Hollywood, and they know the dark side of it. They know, and they know many of them probably participated to one extent or another in that kind of stuff. So yeah, there is a level of hypocrisy when you're up there. Now, like Alex Jones said, Oprah was literally a part of it and was in bed with Harvey Weinstein and girls. I don't believe that for a second. I think that's totally made up. But I do think you're right that if there's 1,000 pictures of you out there hobnobbing with fucking Harvey Weinstein, yeah, you're immersed in that culture, and let's face it, most people are turning a blind eye to it. And like I said, for all the women that came out against Harvey Weinstein, there were at least double the amount who were doing it willingly, where they would suck him off and then he would put them in movies. You know what I mean? And that's not saying that's a good thing. It's just saying that is what was going on for sure.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know. It's also an awkward place too. Like if there was some story of like the YouTube community of like people doing weird shit or something, it's like you don't report. It's hard to like report it and be that first person to do. I don't know.
Well, that's a good point that a lot of people made about this, is that we're just talking about Hollywood in this situation. Can you imagine what it's like at places where people are working like minimum wage jobs or low wage jobs, and there's an asshole boss?
Yeah,
you know,
I can't imagine that.
An attractive worker, and they have all the women that have to put up with all this bullshit. And it's like, anytime you find yourself feeling callous about, you know, these cases of actual harassment and stuff, think about what if it's your mom or your sister and they had to put up with that bullshit. Then you realize, like, oh man, this is fucked up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. It's a weird world where it's getting to a point where, I mean, like on both sides, where it's just like dating is just. I'm not in that world anymore because I'm married, but like dating just seems like fucking tough as shit right now. I mean, it seems easy because there's all those dating apps with Tinder and all that shit.
No, you don't want. But, yeah, you're right.
But now with this whole Me Too thing, it's just like you're not going to get a genuine person anymore, because both people are going to have a shield up where it's just like,
totally.
I can't say that shit right now, because if I make a joke about my dick, she might take that shit as like I'm sexually assaulting her or some shit, where it's just like, you might have a funny dick joke.
Yeah. Yeah, it's you're right, it's tough. Miscommunication can be everything. Like, it can paint everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And then with text, I mean, if you're trying to be funny through text, and like they have
how easy is it for people to misunderstand each other through text?
Yeah.
It happens all the fucking time. Like, where they think you're being like standoffish or something, you're cold. You're like, no, you asked me what I ate and I told you what I ate.
Yeah.
And like, what do you mean? Like, oh, you didn't put emojis. What?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a weird world where it's just like dating, like it's harming everyone, this whole like Me Too movement. And yes, it's good because like women are being able to have voices and shit like that, but it's also like just a regular dude probably can't fucking meet a chick anymore, because like
there's no doubt that regular dudes who have done nothing, myself included, like I had to think back, like, damn, did I ever have awkward sexual encounters that somebody can misinterpret? You know what I mean?
Sure when I was a teenager or something like that, I was with a girl that for both of us, it was awkward that we didn't know what we were doing or whatever, you know?
100%.
But that's just comes with like learning. I feel like I mean, Aziz is older and should know this stuff, but maybe he hasn't had a lot of sexual encounters growing up where he doesn't know what's weird and what's not weird, you know? Maybe he thinks it's okay to, you know, a girl sitting on his couch, let me just try and grab her breast or something like that. Like, yeah, you would automatically think, yeah, that's wrong. But if he's never been in that situation before, he doesn't know, you know? So
yeah. I mean, in my mind, he should have been able to pick up on the nonverbal cues, but if he didn't, that's not a crime. That's when you're supposed to say no. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's... Yeah, I don't know about you, but for most of my life, it was nonverbal consent. It was never like, hey...
Yeah, can you sign this contract?
Or not even that, but like, hey, will you please blow me? It was just like all nonverbal consent every step of the way.
Yeah.
But then now, is it possible for somebody to come out and say, I never said yes? And then it's like, whoa, what? But it was consensual. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
It's tough.
So another thing I was thinking about this week is, what do you think about psychologists, like, or even psychiatrists?
They're usually more fucked up than their patients.
That's what you think?
Yeah.
This is why this is a good conversation to have, because in my mind I was thinking, Because I was gonna major in psychology in college.
Mm-hmm.
And I studied it quite a bit. Like I was in it for like maybe a year and a half or 2 years or whatever. And then I obviously switched and did political science and stuff. But I have a pretty good background in psychology and stuff. And to me, the thing that I was like, whoa, that's not good, is when I learned about, I think it was called the DSM, Diagnostic Statistical Manual, something like that. It's like they called it the Psychologist's Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where they list all the fucking disorders that people have and when you diagnose them and stuff. But they tell you when you're studying it, like, oh, this is not, it's not scientific. It's done by expert consensus. I was like, wait, what does that mean? And they explain that means that all the people who are experts, who are psychologists, they get together and they discuss the different, problems. And if they all agree it's a problem, they add it to the book. So there's no studies, there's no empirical research, and that's why, for example, it was like homosexuality was considered a disorder up until like the 1970s or something like that. And there are a bunch of things that are no longer viewed as, oh, that's a disorder, that were viewed as a disorder because it was never scientific. It was just
a group of people.
A group of people who are experts who would sit around and go, yes, I think this is a problem. Do you all agree? And they go, yes, I do. Yes. And then everybody would have to, act like all this is totally legitimate. So anyway, that was one of the things that I was like, this is really weird. And then now I think about it more, and like I don't begrudge anybody anything that helps them. Like if you go to a psychologist or a psychiatrist and they really help you, great, keep going, 100%. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure that there are many people who they've gone to one or whatever, and it doesn't help. Yeah. And they're like, why doesn't this help? And it's like, well,
or
maybe
they're forced to go by their parents or something like that.
Sure, of course that happens. I'm sure when people are younger. So I was thinking, I'm sure there's a hefty percentage of that whole industry that's just bullshit. That these people don't know what they're doing. They're just sitting there having a conversation with you and trying to give you tips.
Yeah, they don't know. I mean, you're basically telling them the fucked up shit that's going on in your life. So they're just making an assumption that all the shit in your life is fucked up.
And then they try to like steer you in the right direction or whatever.
Yeah.
But there's like a veil of this is medical over it, but it's not really medical because their fucking Bible where they get all their answers and where they discuss all the disorders is not scientific.
Yeah, it's almost like the same shit as they fall in the same category, maybe a step above as the chiropractors.
Chiropractors, I think, are a little more bullshit, but yeah. I see where you're coming
I think
from.
a psychologist is definitely more advanced than a chiropractor. Yeah. Like
they're glorified backcrackers is what they are.
Yeah.
Totally.
Well, like in that same realm where it's just like you're not going to like a doctor to get like a CAT scan of your brain to see if shit is fucked up. You're more going to a person who specialized in seeing fucked up shit, And
I would say psychiatrists are like a little step above psychologists because psychologists can't prescribe medication. Psychiatrists can prescribe medication.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if their training is exactly the same. I would guess psychiatrists have to do a little more schooling. But my guess is if you're at the point where you're prescribing medication, then you're treating patients that have real like, paranoid schizophrenia or problems like that, then where you need those drugs to be able to prescribe them. But psychologists are just, you can have a conversation with the person and try to steer them in the right direction. But it's like, the thing that annoys me is that it's almost like, why not give those people some sort of self-help guru? Because at least a self-help guru isn't pretending that they're a next-level expert.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas the psychologist is kind of pretending like, no, I'm exactly like a doctor. It's like, no, if you go to the doctor and you have a fucking bacterial infection, they'll give you antibiotics and that shit'll work. But if you go to the psychologist and say, I have this problem, it's not guaranteed that what they tell you is going to work or make you feel better or any of that.
Yeah, and also it's sort of a little bit like, I don't know the word I'm looking for, like cocky on their part that they think they're like the know-all of like, I can cure your problem, like me, myself,
Yeah. So it's funny because I used to look at, like, I think my dad always thought that they were bullshit. And I would look at him like, that's like the old guy who didn't learn about it default take, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like how, old school people are like, I don't need I'm going to talk to somebody about my problems and fix it. Like, that's some stupid fucking shit. And a lot of older men think it's like an effeminate thing. Like, oh, I'm going to talk to somebody about my problems. I'm not going to do that. I'll work through it on my own type thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's almost like I've almost come full circle on that question, but I didn't come to that conclusion because of a lack of educating myself about the topic. I came to that conclusion from an abundance of education about the topic.
So you think it's okay? What's your take on it?
Well, no, my take is from everything I've learned about it and going through what I went through in college and originally going to major in it and yada yada, I think it's largely bullshit. But having said that, if in a subjective way it happens to help somebody, I would say keep going, of course.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's like what people say about CrossFit. It's just like
You're
a lot
muted.
of people. Oh, am I? I don't know. My shit's been freezing.
Still muted.
Can you hear me?
Talk.
Can you hear me?
Muted. What
What
the
the
fuck
fuck?
happened? That's so weird. It's not me because my microphone is still working.
Mine's on too, but my
When you talk, it shows that your thing is working, but I can't fucking hear you. That's so weird.
my computer was freezing for a hot second. Can you hear me now?
Say something?
Can you hear me now?
No.
Damn.
Did your microphone get unplugged?
No.
No. How the fuck? That makes no sense. And when you
Can you hear me?
talk, I see your audio levels going up.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Still can't hear you.
Fuck.
I guess we just hang up and do a part 2. Let's try that.
We could try. All right.
Hang it up and do a part 2 in this biznatch. All right, guys. Awkward ending. You could probably hear him. I can't hear him. But we'll be right back. Watch part 2.